Let's talk about the various places where we can insert an effect in our Kontakt instrument. So in this diagram, we're looking at all the different places where effects can be added. So we have the group insert effects. So those apply to specific groups. We've been using those all this while. There's the bus insert effects. I've shown that to you. Just with one sample wasn't that helpful, but just be aware that you can add effects at a bus level. Then you have instrument insert effects, and this will affect everything that comes prior to it. And then we also have sends, and the source for the sends can be the group post amplifier, the bus, or even the instrument insert effects. So you have send effects over here, and then finally there's something known as the main effects. So just think of this as another way to add an effect on the overall instrument, including the send effects. So you have some effect loaded onto the send, you can further affect it at the instrument main effects level. And that's the entire instrument. But we also know that in Kontakt, we can add effects on these 4 aux tracks or directly on stereo 1, stereo 2. But keep in mind, that does not get saved with your instrument. When you save an instrument, all this stuff gets saved. Alright, so now let's see how we can make use of send and insert effects. So this is that initial patch we created some time ago, with all the fancy modulation. I'm going to create another group. Uncheck Edit All Groups, select this empty group. Make sure Selected Groups Only is selected here, so we only see what's inside this group, and clearly there's nothing in there. I'm going to load in that drum loop from earlier, place it in here, stretch it across the entire keyboard range. I'm going to turn off tracking, so I can just hear the sample as is. And let's turn on Sync Slice. So here we will use maybe Time Machine Pro. And I don't want to use the whole loop, I just want to use the first bar. So let's stop it till I think about this point here. I would like to loop it, so let's also activate a loop. And let's set the loop point to end at about the same place there. Doesn't seem to be quite right. Let's pull that back a bit. Alright, that sounds much better. Alright, so our instrument now has 2 groups, the sawtooth group, and let's just call this the drum group. Now, let's say I would like to add a reverb, maybe just on one of these 2, not on both of them together. So scrolling down, here we have our send effects. Let me add a reverb on the send effect here. Convolution reverb should work. Let's choose a preset. Let's go for this preset here. Now, as soon as I play, you notice that the entire instrument has reverb. How is that working since this is a send effect? So what we need to do is to go back into the Insert Effects category. And on the sends over here, double click to open it up and make sure the signal is not going into that particular send. Alright, so that's working. Now let's say I would like to add reverb, maybe just on the drums. So on the drum group, which is selected here, let's hide the mapping editor and the wave editor. We don't need to see those. And let's go ahead and add a specific effect. Under Utilities, you can see here Send Levels. It always defaults to full level. I'll bring it back down. So no reverb yet, but if I increase this, now we have reverb just on the drums. So that's pretty cool. Let's add another one. I'm going to add a delay. Let's use the new Psych delay. Again, making sure that by default, we're not sending through everything on the insert. This time, I'm going to go to the Saw group. And in here, at the group level, let's add under Utilities, that Send level. We're not sending through the reverb, we're just sending to the Psych delay. It's a bit too much, I'll tone it down a bit. I'm still hearing it on the drums. So let's go back to the drum group and see what's happening here. On the sends, you can see there the cyc delay is up. Let's bring that down. All right, now no delay on the drums, just reverb. But the cyc delay has that delay effect. Now I can still add some insert effects. Let's click over here and add something that would work for the entire thing. Maybe just a compressor. I feel I need to tone down the reverb on the drums, so let's do that. The drum group is selected here. Bring the convolution down here. Alright, and then finally in the main effects, let's add something that's going to affect everything, including those sends. So let's go for some kind of distortion. How about a tape saturator? I'll engage this high quality mode, add some warmth. Roll off some of the highs. So as you can see, it gets a little complicated the way you can introduce effects into your instrument, but at the same time, it's also very, very powerful. Alright, so hopefully this all makes sense using effects in a Kontakt instrument.